somehow think I am allergic to prosperity. Many people think I'm allergic to having material things. So let's sit down and just look at what Jesus taught, because our mindset ought to be Christ's mindset. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. All right, the Son of Man is come and has given us an understanding. So let's explore into the understanding of Christ. Let's look at the mind of Christ. Let's look at God's thinking pattern where material things are concerned. 1 Corinthians the 16th chapter, the 2nd verse. 1 Corinthians the 16th chapter, the 2nd verse. Light of the world, read for me.
Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as God hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come.
So we want to doctrinally look at the subject of material prosperity. We want to look at some salient issues about material prosperity, and because it involves money, it's naturally controversial. It doesn't have to be made controversial, but it's naturally controversial because it involves money. But like I said, it shouldn't be. So this is Brother Paul again, 1 Corinthians the 16th chapter, the 1st and the 2nd verse. Put it up for me again. 1 Corinthians 16, 1 and 2. 1 and 2, from verse 1 to 2. 1 Corinthians 16, 1 and 2. Now concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given order to the churches of Galatia, even so do ye in Corinth. Next verse. Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store. I'd like you to underline, as God had prospered him. As God had prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come. Now the translation of that verse in the King James Version puts the word God, which implies that God prospers, or as God has prospered him. And the word prosper there is the word oido, E-U-O-D-O-O, E-U-O-D-O-O, which implies a journey, and it's from two words. EU means well. EU in the Greek means well, EU. Then it has hodos, H-O-D-O-S, which implies a pathway or a journey. To have a prosperous journey, or to have a good trip, or to have a safe journey. But because he is talking about giving substance, then the word prosperity will be in place, because you will see the word hodos used by Paul in Romans the 1st chapter, the 10th verse. Romans the 1st chapter, the 10th verse. Read for me, people.
Making request, if by any means now at length I might have a prosperous journey by the will of God to come unto you.
I might have a prosperous journey, and in that instance it wasn't a material thing. A prosperous journey, that is a smooth trip where there will be no hindrance and where there will be no delays. In Romans chapter 15 verse 31 to 32, you will see it a bit more clearer. Romans, remember, he has said in chapter 1 he might have a prosperous journey. So 15:31, read for me, PJ.
That I may be delivered from them that do not believe in Judea, and that my service which I have for Jerusalem may be accepted of the saints.
Next verse.
That I may come unto you with joy by the will of God, and may with you be refreshed.
That I may come unto you with joy. So that's what he meant when he said I might have a prosperous journey, a trip that is not hindered, a trip that is not obstructed, a prosperous journey. And that's why he said that in the beginning of the book of Romans. When he was concluding, he further explained what he meant in the 1st chapter of Romans by a prosperous journey. He was traveling and he wanted to prosper in his trip. He wanted a smooth and hitch-free trip. He also said where the word hodo is used in 3 John, the 2nd chapter, the 1st verse. 3 John chapter 2 verse 1. 3 John, yeah, read for me, PJ. 3 John verse 1.
The elder unto the well-beloved Gaius, who I love in the truth.
Next verse.
Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth.
So he's talking to Gaius and he's saying, I wish above all things that thou prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospereth. The word prosper used 2 times there, which we have seen it is spiritual growth of Gaius. He was wishing Gaius well, and wishing him to grow spiritually, because he mentioned in verse 1 of 3 John verse 1, 3 John verse 1.
The elder unto the well-beloved Gaius, whom I love in the truth.
Next verse, loving the truth.
Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth.
Prosper, verse 3.
For I rejoiced greatly when the brethren came and testified of the truth that is in thee, even as thou walkest in the truth.
Of the truth that is in thee, even as thou walkest in the truth. So that kind of prayer that John was praying for Gaius, his spiritual son here, will be likened to the Pauline prayers in Ephesians, in Colossians, in Philippians, where he was praying that the eyes of their understanding being enlightened, that they will be rooted and grounded in love, that they may be sincere and without offense till the day of Jesus Christ, that they will be abounding, in the truth. So that's the kind of prayer he was praying for Gaius there. But we know that the 1 Corinthians chapter 16, where we just read, is material wealth, because he mentioned laid by him in store. He can't be laying by him in store spiritual growth. So to lay by him in store will be material, but the contention is when he mentioned as God hath prospered him. That's where the issue is. As God, which means that God has an influence in how people gather material substance. That is what that God added to that verse by the King James Version will imply. But like we said, this is a translator's work. It's never in the original. The original doesn't have as God had prospered him. The original has as he had prospered. But the King James translators put God in there, but it's not in the original. Now, it will imply, therefore, by adding God, that God has an influence on how men gather material things. Now, KIV that somewhere, because sometimes when translators add a word, it can be useful. So our study will be, can this be allowed, that God has an influence in how people gather material things? Or can this be allowed, that God has an influence in how people prosper materially?